Hello, welcome to another live stream with Rachel Archelaus and Carrie Roldan. We're coming to you hot from the Intuitive Art Academy. And today we're talking about something that is I feel like sort of controversial in the spiritual community, which is luxury. And we want to talk about it from all angles. So not just like designer clothes or getting your nails done, although those can be great. I also want to talk about it as Carrie has a color in her intuitive art about luxury and abundance and wealth being your birthright. And I really feel that, because to feel luxury or luxuriated, you need to be comfortable and grounded. So we're going to go to all the different places. I'm excited. Carrie, hello.
Hey, Rachel. I was just checking to see if I was muted or not. Yeah, funny. When you were talking about it, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to pull up that drawing. I'm bringing that up right now because, and maybe, is this why you did the topic? Or are you just feeling into luxury?
I've just been feeling into it lately. So you all know my addiction to YouTube, which I hold dear to my heart and I love and defend. Not that I need to defend it, but I've been, well, all right, let me go into my background of luxury. Okay, so if you got my email, you'll know that when I was younger, I was so money conscious, and in a kid way, I wasn't. I was always on America Online, spending my parents' hard-earned money on modem minutes. But when I wasn't doing that, I was pretty much actively keeping anything nice and new away from me, right? I insisted on only buying used clothes from Goodwill. And if my parents bought me something new, even if I asked for it, which is so terrible, I got this brand new New Kids on the Block hat once when I was younger. And I felt so bad when I got it. Like, I don't need this. I'm above this material thing. As a kid, I gave it to my neighbor, and my parents found out, and they were kind of mad. So I've always had this push-pull with things and with spending money, and with even when we would go out for dinner as a kid, I would always order the cheapest thing on the menu. We were not poor, by the way. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor. So I came in sort of uncomfortable with being in the physical world, if you couldn't tell. And at the same time, I really adored the art world, which included fashion and nice furniture and paintings and, very luxurious world of the rich. And so here I was, very much consumed by that and getting all the magazines. And I was always alternatively dressed and really experimenting with color and fashion and all that stuff. I even went to fashion school to become a fashion designer at one point. And so I had that part of me, but I also had this part of me oh, but it's $1,200 for a t-shirt. I can't do that, right? So it took me a long time to really put those all together. And I feel like I'm still getting there, to be honest. So back to YouTube. The past 2 weeks, I've been pretty much binge watching this amazing British YouTuber who is just all about luxury fashion. She just goes shopping and shares what she buys, and she shares what she's excited about that she hasn't bought yet. She goes over the trends, and it really just kind of brought home for me this idea that you don't have to be embarrassed to like what you like. Right? We've been talking about that. Your preferences are your power. Your preferences are your purpose, right? So here is this girl who is just so delightfully enriched by this world and unabashedly going shopping and spending money and saving for things. And it was so refreshing. It really brought me to a new level of acceptance. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. Well, that's actually good. And I'm curious if Rachel's story resonates with you guys. I know it's not dissimilar to my story in the sense that I just from a very young age had an awareness, same, like, even I remember, like, dating, like, not wanting to, order the most expensive thing, like looking at price as a consideration for what I would buy, or what I would order. And in when I was younger, like, I'm sure I just learned this from my mom, like, "Do you like this?" Well, that would be determined by how much it is, right? So, like, um and so I too, like, came in with sort of this guilt around wanting nice things. And I also have a great deal of pride around being able to, like, well, you could get the same thing at Target for whatever. You could, like, I had a great deal of um I think maybe that was I'm sure how my mom, like, got by, like, we could make that for less, or we could, like, that just sort of became a thing, and it was something that I'm very proud of. And as I'm moving up the vibrational scale, I realize, like, but what a waste. Or I could just get the thing that I really want. And I do notice that if I allow myself to not look at price tags or to not be right, I gravitate toward the luxurious, the more expensive, the higher quality. And we're just talking clothes and fashion here, but I'm thinking, like, hotels. And, like, if I didn't know one from the other, right, I tend to gravitate toward what would be considered luxury. And as you all know, it is my dream to be able to load up my family in the private jet instead of loading up my family in the minivan or the suburban or whatever car that, or the motorhome or whatever thing that, um, mode of transportation. And so I'm excited about this call today about aligning to luxury, is because I asked myself a week ago, what am I authentically wanting right now? And I got this. And the purple color is that luxury, wealth, abundance are my divine birthright. So this is a very royal color. There's some other things going on in there, but the two main ones are the purple and the brown, right? And the brown is grounding. It's solid, it's safe, it's real, it's grounded, it's truth. And so I love, love, love that I'm wanting, like, this luxury is my divine birthright. I want to be grounded in that truth. And so I'm super excited to have this call today to make this happen. So thanks, Rachel.
You're very welcome. So, what really got me thinking about this was the YouTuber, but also what you're saying, Carrie, and that when I'm really aligned with myself, when I'm really feeling life, right? When I'm happy, I'm flowing, I'm in love with myself, with life, with everything. When we're really there, when we have that on purpose feeling, I buy a really expensive designer couch, or I go to New York and I buy a designer top, and I want the feeling of being taken care of. I go to the doctor, which is also a luxury. I go and I get a facial because I want my skin to be healthy and look glowing. When I'm really aligned, it's when I slow down and I'm feeling the moment and I can address whatever is right in front of me. And so there's a really big overlap with alignment and luxury that I don't think I've really appreciated before. I think luxury is another word for freedom, right? Luxury and freedom go hand in hand because luxury is about choice. It's about being able to choose the best option for you, regardless of price, right? So being able to choose for me, going camping or staying in the really nice hotel, whichever one I choose at the moment. So it's not even all about money. It's about you. Money is not a factor in that. And, Intimate Alien loves things. She loves expensive things. She loves whatever is right for her, regardless of the price. So I don't know if any of you remember, but we did a video where Intimate Alien basically set up a life on Earth if she just came here to live, right? And she didn't have anything previous. So what did she do? She bought like a $30 million mansion, in the video. She found it online. She bought a helicopter so she could fly her and her friends around and go see people really easily, right? She could just fly over to see Carrie in California, pick her up, bring her back to the mansion, right? She bought beautiful, extravagant, colorful jewelry and clothing. And so, where she's from, basically anywhere but here, we have that option because we don't have belief systems about money and value, right? We don't put a value on ourselves. We don't put a value on our time. We don't put a value on our things or exchange, right? So we're free to live in luxury in the higher dimensions, and we have access to higher dimensions here. And that's what we're feeling when we're in alignment. So I think the line is really being taken away, right? Now it's just a choice for us. Do we want to align with freedom and luxury? And if so, we've got to find that within ourselves, and then we'll be able to see it outside of us. And I think for me, I'm more willing than ever to step out of any judgments I'm still carrying about that, because there are a ton. We can, we don't even need to spend any time on that. But if you see how polarizing rich people are in this world, like they're doing something wrong just by having wealth, it's really easy to get tangled up in that. And so if we step out of that and into alignment, we can experience this world a lot more.
Yes. And I love that you aligned luxury and freedom, right? And, I've heard people say that our freedom is a luxury, right? Like living where we are, that is a luxury. But right before we went live on the call, Rachel was saying how she really slept late today. And I was like, oh, what a luxury, right? Like how luxurious to have the choice to be able to sleep late. And so I really do want us to it's easy to align luxury and expensive. And that's an interesting thing that we've done, that we've taken things that are luxurious, right? That are just amazing and good, and we've put a really big price tag on them. Like I find that fascinating to begin with, right? But anyways, but I love the idea of aligning luxury not with expensive things, but with the right things for us, regardless of price. I hope that there's a little bit of relief in the idea of that for a lot of you, that living in luxury doesn't mean always buying the most expensive, right? It just means aligning with the right choice for you, regardless of the price. Oh, there's relief in that for me. So thank you.
Yeah, for me too. And I think we're just dismantling our own judgments and letting our preferences be heard by ourselves, right? Like and it's okay. I think obviously we're still going to manage our current resources in responsible ways, right? I'm not advocating for you going to spending money you don't have on things just because you like them. But what we can do in the meantime, as our outer world catches up with our new, freer inner world, is we can just pay attention to what we would really want. I find this to be really fun. So if there is something that I'm interested in right now that I wouldn't really have considered before. I'll just tell you. It's like a pair of mules, like the shoes without a back, right? And the ones that I like are like cool green, and they're maybe $900, right? Never spent that much on a pair of shoes, but almost actually. And it would be really fun. Now, of course I could buy them, but it doesn't feel right yet. So I'm going to wait until it feels easy. And in the meantime, I'm just going to keep looking because I want to look at them. I want to have the sensation of seeing what it is my preference is, seeing if my preference changes, noticing what other things are looking good to me. I'm going to go on vacation next week, actually. So no live stream next week. I'll have another video for you. But in the process of preparing for that, I was asking, where do I want to stay? I thought about maybe asking my grandpa if I could stay with him. But it would save money, but it didn't really feel right. And so I ended up renting a house, which is beautiful. It's like a cute cottage. It's on a little stream. It's perfect. And I'm really excited about it. And so that I could afford. So it's like, make this mental wish list. Just acknowledge the things that you're really drawn to, regardless of how much they are. Try to take price out of it and just let yourself desire, let yourself be happy, let yourself resonate, because that's all it is. It's you seeing something you're resonating with, and that's your truth. The aligned up level events, we go through this. Your wish list is your truth. You wouldn't resonate with it. So let yourself have that experience and don't get into the whole, if you can, like, oh, I can't buy it. I can't buy it. Like there's a little bit of struggle that can happen if you're too, fixated on it. So let it be easy. Let it flow. Just recognize your truth wherever you see it. And then it will slowly dissolve the glue of judgment and all that other stuff.
That got a yawn from me.
Nice.
Okay, sounds easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Recognize your truth wherever you see it, meaning the desires, right? The things that you want. So as you were talking, I was realizing like, oh, I have a new one. And it is like a full home gym in my garage. So right now we have this like little area of the garage that is a home gym, and the exercise bike is like on its last leg. Like I had the realization this morning that I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm doing that thing where like you probably can't see, there's like grease under my fingernails because I was like tinkering with this bike, like trying to get it to like last for another however many months, or like I was trying to convince myself like I don't need a new one, I could make this one work. And I can, but that does not feel luxurious to me. That doesn't feel what I want my like home gym to feel like. And there is an up-leveled version of this that already exists in my mind and in my imagination and in my body. Like when I go out there, I think about, oh, it would be so amazing if this was this and that was that. And I could, right? And so I think what I hear you saying is just me doing that. This morning I was shopping for a new exercise bike too, but I was also recognizing like, oh, but it's not just the bike. It's not just the bike, right? What would feel luxurious, the bike was going to be like step one, but what would feel luxurious would be to put this on that wall and move this over there and get more padding and like, anyways, what I think I hear you saying is just my doing of that, just my being in the space of imagining what I would like is dissolving the glue of judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like we're here now because I was watching this YouTuber delight in looking at clothes. Yeah. It's so fun.
Well, here's what I love about that. I don't know anything about this YouTuber, but my guess is that those YouTube videos pay for the clothes.
Well, it's interesting. And, this goes to our expectation, right? So this woman, she's 30. She grew up wealthy, right? She went to boarding school. She lived in the UK with her parents. Her mom liked luxury clothing. And so she grew up around it. Was normal for her. There wasn't anything embarrassing or weird about it. But then it's not, she doesn't have a trust fund or anything like paying for her lifestyle now because she's obviously not living at home anymore. So she moved to London and she got a job, a regular corporate job, which paid for her stuff. And she wasn't buying as much of it because she didn't have as much side cash. And then she started a YouTube channel just like 2 years ago or so. And obviously started making some money on that. And then partners came in and gave her credit to stores that she would talk about the stuff that she would buy. So yeah, but I loved that it wasn't just like parents buying you stuff to like free stuff all around as an adult. Like she made her own way in a responsible way and found that by continuing to be interested in what she was interested in, it worked out for her, And so that's like a really big message. Expectation that things will still work out for her as an adult, not under her parents' wing, because it worked out for her parents, right? That's why, rich people tend to keep being rich as they get older, right? Because they have the expectation that it's possible. But also, like, she made it work for her and then found even more abundance as she went along and did what was right for her. But it wasn't a given, like she had a full-time job in London, which is an expensive city. And then she started her YouTube career making 3 videos a week. And there's no guarantee that your videos are going to hit, you know what I mean? And so that's a big commitment. That is a full-time job on top of a full-time job. And so I just want to point that out. It's so easy for us to look at other people and be like, oh, well, it's easy for them. Of course, of course. But she really did dedicate herself to her own alignment and staying true to what she liked and really made it work out for her. And she was able to quit her job eventually. And then she moved to New York a couple months ago with her fiance, and things have even gone up from there. So I love stories like that because they prove that standing true to yourself, being in your alignment, spending time doing what you love always pays off.
Yeah. And I want to touch on, it came up for me as you were talking, and Dale has asked about it as well. So if we're going to use this YouTuber an example, one thing that she didn't have a lot of was guilt around loving luxurious things because she had grown up around luxurious things. And Dale's asking, if you haven't already talked about this, please touch on guilt around luxury. And I touched on it a little bit just in my own upbringing of this feeling a little bit of guilt or a little bit of shame in wanting something that my parents couldn't afford, right? That Rachel, did you just spill all over yourself? Right, feeling guilt around wanting something really, really nice because that would make my parents feel bad. I guess the important thing to think about now is that I don't have to feel bad now for wanting something nice, for asking myself for something. Like, I don't have to shame myself or say, oh, you can't afford that, or that's only for wealthy people, right? Those are old stories that we tell ourselves. But I mean, that's why we do the work, right? That's why we lean into our alignment. What is my preference now? That's making me yawn.
Yeah. So I really love this idea of guilt because it's so self-inflicted that it's possibly maybe the easiest thing to turn around if we're willing, right? There's an easier way to look at this. So we could go into, there's lots of people starving in the world, and who are we to spend $1,000 on shoes or whatever? But actually, I was listening to something by Louise Hay recently, and she was mentioning about there's enough food on this planet to feed everyone, even though people aren't being fed. So it's not an abundance problem, right? It's not a food problem, right? There's enough money in this world to make everyone rich, and yet there are people who are poor. So it's not a money problem, right? It's not an abundance problem. And so it's an individual problem. It's a systemic problem, right? But you having nice things doesn't prevent anyone else from having nice things. There's an abundance of nice things. There's an abundance of money. There's an abundance of food. And you can be inspired to be part of what is helping that system run better. But that doesn't mean you don't get your version of luxury or truth, right? That wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make sense that to fix the problem means depriving you when deprivation is the problem, right? So guilt is really just something we've trained ourselves into and we can train ourselves out of. And I like to look at it as I lovingly accept all of the abundance that is coming to me from any direction. I lovingly accept. I lovingly accept the love, the value, the luxury, the money that's coming to me because it's meant to come in love. It is love, and I'm love, and so I lovingly accept. And the people who are giving you things are getting pleasure off of that, right? We live in a world of value exchange. And so if you feel guilty accepting it, you're just robbing the whole process, right? So I really like the idea of this loving acceptance. I lovingly accept. Would you not want your recipient to lovingly accept? Right? And I heard Abraham talk a long time ago about this idea of like sometimes there are strings attached to what we receive, but we don't need to buy into the strings. We can just lovingly accept, right? Like if we are paid to show up at a job, then we need to show up at the job, right? Or they probably won't pay us. But like in terms of gifts or, there's like a whole political subtext around receiving sometimes, but we don't need to buy into that. We can just accept. We can accept. And so if you think about it, when you're in alignment, when you are in your body and in the moment, aligned with your higher self, there's no guilt. There's no guilt. So lovingly accept, find alignment, and you'll always know what to do. You'll always know what your part is, what your part in fixing things is. And it's probably just going to be in alignment, be an example of ease, right? That's what people really want. They want examples. This person is a lot like me and it's working out for them. So it can work out for me. But we just talked about the power of expectation. So, and it's not like you need to be, there's no responsibility for you to be an example for anyone else. So live your life. Don't think about other people when you're living your life. But when you're in alignment, you just can't help but be that. You're a beacon, right? And you're going to be inspired in ways to help. There's no guilt necessary for that. Guilt is not something, guilt and shame aren't inspirers of good things to come, right? A lot of people think that, but they're not.
So good. It's such a reminder, I feel like, for everyone, for all the parents on the planet, for like guilt and shame are not a way to get what you want from yourself or anyone else. Like, what was striking me when you were talking was how easy it can be for us to live our preferences and live in luxury when we remove ourselves from our day to day. So, like, I'm thinking about how much easier it can be for me when I'm on vacation to say yes to my preferences than it is for me in my day to day. And there's no good reason for that. I mean, I could justify it, right? But there's no good reason for that except for I've bought into this belief that like, oh, it's vacation. and I feel less guilty on vacation than I do in real life when it's all real life, right? When I can treat every day, and I know we did a live stream about this a while ago, but like I could treat every day, I could treat my whole life like I'm on vacation and how much better my life could be. So thanks for that reminder because that hit me like, oh, what is a context when I feel less judgmental of myself or less guilty or less because when you were talking, I thought, oh, that thing that I have gotten to a place where I actually feel pretty good about like living luxuriously. And in certain contexts, I will like diminish that. So like I have this really nice purse that I like and it feels luxurious and I get compliments on it and I will do things, but I will then like take that compliment and be like, "Oh, yeah, I got it on sale," or I got right? Like I'll take it down instead of just being like, "Yeah, I love it too." So thanks.
I can relate to that. Yeah. But the thing is, and I wanted to talk about this today, when you're in alignment, things usually are on sale. Like
Yes.
what you want is way cheaper than when you're not in alignment, you know?
Well,
So,
it's accessible to you,
yes.
right?
Mhm.
So if $1 billion is accessible to me at all times, I look at the Kardashians all the time. And even them, I know they think about money but I look at them because I think, oh, they're so just living their preferences. They're getting that whatever car with the pink leather interior because that's their preference. Um, yeah, it's super inspiring to me. I don't know where I was going. You go.
Yeah, it's just money changes when you really dedicate yourself to being in alignment. It will flow to you from all kinds of new places. Things that you've been paying for will be discounted or you'll get for free. And money stretches so much farther. So I just love, I love that everything changes when, and you guys know what I mean by in alignment, right? When you feel good, when you feel good, when you feel excited, when you feel natural. Actually, so I shared this story this morning with a friend, and I was thinking about all of this, for the last few days, this luxury and being spiritual and all this stuff. So I had a blog when I was in my 20s, just for my like personal stuff, my poetry, my art, and I would just post random things. But I also had a spiritual mentor at the time because I've just always been like this. And so um, she literally appeared out of nowhere. I thought to myself one night, I'm ready for a teacher. And the next day, she's like, okay, I'm ready. Like she literally showed up because that's how it works in my life. And she was great, really great. Taught me how to be centered, grounded, and all that stuff. But she was a little critical of my blog. I remember I posted a pair of boots that I wanted on this blog. So again, I love fashion. And she said to me, like, spiritual teachers should not be posting about boots that they want. Nobody's going to take you seriously. And even though I probably rolled my eyes at that moment, a little bit of it came in here because this morning I had this recollection of that. And I was like, I've been keeping these things separate and they don't need to be separate. Part of my naturalness is my love of fashion and how it's like wearable art. It beautifies the world and it's so creative, right? It's so me. It's so me. And yet, from that day on, I really did put them in two different columns. And so we just naturally segregate things all of our lives that don't need to be segregated. But when we just find our naturalness, when we're feeling good, they go right back together again, right? And so the more like time we can spend just feeling good, letting our guard down, letting our boundaries down, dissolving that glue of judgment, the more we're really going to find more happiness, more groundedness, more alignment in the world, more people who relate to us because we're not keeping ourselves in separate boxes. So um, And actually, I shared that with this friend this morning who also happens to be a very spiritual person and love fashion and all that stuff. So we exist. We exist. And your people exist too. So I just love that.
Oh, I thought I was muted, but I'm not. Yeah, that was I I don't think I have ever bought into that you can't be spiritual and rich. Like, I don't think I bought into that quite as much as some other people. Um, but I think that there's just inherent in a lot of us this you can't be blank and rich, right? You can't or we're talking about rich, but really we're just talking about living in luxury, right? It's just those two things are very closely aligned in our world. Um, but maybe that's an important thing to talk about right now is what luxuries do you have access to right now? So Rachel, we were talking about how like she slept in today. And that is truly a luxury, right? To be able to not have anything on her schedule in the morning, to like have her not have to, right? She's created a life based on her preferences where she doesn't have to set an alarm for 5 and get up and take the train to work and, do all the things. Um, and that is a luxurious part of her life that she's created. And so and I remember, Rachel, for you, there was a time when just buying organic food felt like such a luxury. Now I'm imagining that you can grow your own food feels luxurious. Even though for lots of other people it feels like a have to. It would be a luxury to be able to go to the grocery store, right? For you, like having the freedom to be able to grow her to and the time to be able to tend to a garden and grow food and appreciate like all of that feels luxurious. So I'm saying these things for you, but I'm sort of just asking anybody who's watching, what do you have in your life right now that was once a luxury, right? Or it seems normal now, but for you can imagine when it felt luxurious. So, like, for me, that's my schedule right now. That's the work that I do. Like, it's crazy to think that there was a time when I was like, "Oh, that would be so cool," right? And now it's my day to day. And I think we often forget to appreciate our day to day because it was right, like, I'm thinking about my husband's job and his salary, and it comes with a lot of things that he would prefer not to have, right? But he followed his preferences enough into this place where he has a salary that probably when he was a little kid, he couldn't have imagined, right? And so that's stuff that we have access to right now, where we can just sort of lean into what is luxurious in my life right now? What do I always have? Right now, I have a cold sore, but I have the absolute best chapstick. And every time, it's not chapstick, it's in my pocket. What is it? I don't know. I think it's the EOS brand. Yeah. Man, does this feel luxurious? Whenever I put it on my lips, it's like silky and wonderful. And I'm like, yes. Right. It's not the like crappy tub of stuff that gets under my fingernail. Um, it doesn't have to be complicated to like find luxuries in your life. So I'm kind of curious now. Let me know in the chat. What is luxurious for you? And I'm looking at Katerina. She says, I'm totally worthy of all the good stuff in my vortex. Thank you for pointing the way to alignment. Now, the way to alignment is to feel good. One way to feel good is to appreciate. So, what do you got going on in your life that's already a luxury? I'm wearing fuzzy slippers. Luxurious.
Yeah. So something for me, which it took me a really long time to get to, is I'd never had a facial before January of this year. But I thought about it for years and years and years and years. But I thought, oh, it's too expensive, you know? And then I found like I was doing some research about local spas here in December, and I found this one that's super high rated. They were voted the best spa in this area, and their membership, their first time rate and their membership is $89. $89 for a facial. And then of course I tip, but I could have had that before, I could have had that before, but it's such an inside job getting what we want, allowing in what we want, finding what we want, seeing what we want, being in alignment so that we can actually afford what we want, right? But it took me such a long time to be able to do it. And now I've had the membership and I've had 4 facials this year and it's been amazing. And it feels so good. It's beyond just my face, So I love that.
And Dale's commenting on luxuries, saying warm, soft covers on a chilly night. Oh, great smelling soap. I have the best soap in my shower right now. Thank you for reminding me of that, Dale. And a third bottle of surprise champagne and snacks. Yes. Yes to champagne and snacks. Yeah. I don't know. Like, as I'm sitting here, Rachel, I'm just recognizing like it is all around us.
Mhm.
And the more we see it, the more we get.
Mhm.
I'm curious about jealousy
Mhm.
and luxury.
Well, here's the thing. We are not in control of anyone else's experience. And if we're living in our own alignment the best that we can, and we're having a good time, that alone can be enough to spark jealousy, right? And if we're also allowing ourselves to experience our alignment physically, which is what luxury is, right? We're so aligned, we're feeling so good, we're so relaxed, so grounded, so part of this world, so appreciative that things to appreciate are going to show up for us left, right, and center. That again is enough to trigger other people. And if they are uncomfortable with that, A, that's on them. And B, there's really nothing you can do about it because anytime you rise up in your vibrational set point, there's going to be a bigger gap between you and some of the people that you know. This has happened to me a lot. It can be very devastating. Carrie's just been through one of these things with me. And it's really the best way that I can think of to deal with this. And what I'm doing right now is just be loving. You can't change the opinion of anyone else. You can't change the alignment of anyone else. You can't change the path of least resistance. You can't be the path of least resistance for anyone else. So even if you gift things to people, maybe it'll break. Maybe they won't, it'll get stolen. Like you don't have any control over that. The universe is perfect, right? In its delivery system because it's all about personal allowing, personal alignment. Everyone's got the same connection as you, the same opportunity, the same, right? We can go into that, right? We're very privileged. I'm a white lady in this world. I got a high paying boyfriend, career. I'm very, very privileged. But we do all have the same connection. And so I just try to be loving, right? Sending love to any people that I've triggered, sending love to any people that maybe are jealous of me or have a, whatever. That's all I can do because that's where I want to feel good. I just want to feel good. And you have a right to feel good. You're meant to feel good. And that's the best you can do. So, yeah.
Okay, so I have 2 things now. Number 1, I want to acknowledge Katerina and her luxury. She said she had an espresso and an ice cream cup at an Italian gelateria in a small neighborhood town. Oh, I'm going to read it. That's better. A spontaneous mini vacation with a neighbor. Oh, right? It is easier for me anyways, to like lean into luxury when I'm on vacation. So I love that. And now I want to talk about jealousy, resentment, judgment when we see it in ourselves, right? When I'm the one looking at Rachel being like, oh, must be nice. Or when I'm the one, you know, talking about the Kardashians like they're talentless hacks that don't know anything, like don't deserve the money they have or like whatever. Just talk to us a little bit about what to do when we see that. And right, obviously, if you are not aware and you're doing that, you're not in alignment. But what is it telling us?
Well, Christina Marassi, who she kind of fell off the radar for a while, but she does a lot of work on the feminine. And I was in one of her marketing classes a really long time ago. And she talked about healthy cannibalism. So when you see things going well for other people, or you see things like somebody else has what you want, instead of going into jealousy or, getting triggered in some way, why not say, ooh, that and for me too. For me too. Yeah, 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 yeah. For me too. And imagine yourself having it, right? Because if that person can have it, you can have it too, especially if it's sparking a desire in you. And so instead of going into jealousy, go into desire. Go into, yeah, I want that. Add it to your list.
Yeah, what I like about jealousy is it's just showing me, oh, I'm wanting it and I'm believing that I can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So well, that's easy to fix. I'll just start believing I can have it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I know. Since you brought us into that feeling of appreciation, I just feel like, I love that.
I know, me too. Yeah, I honestly, Rachel, I'm not sure where to go from here except for just like I am leaning into this. And actually, I do want to say that like a year ago, I don't know if I would have been like maybe a little embarrassed that this is what I'm wanting most right now. Right? But now I'm like, "Oh, girl, yes. This is what I want most right now. I want wealth, luxury, and abundance as my divine birthright. And I just want to be grounded in the truth of that."
Mhm.
And I will say, since I did that a week ago, I've spent a lot of time grounding into the truth of that. And I had the most luxurious day yesterday.
Mm.
Like my whole calendar cleared itself. And I spent the entire day being like, well, what do I want to do now? What would I like to do now? And a lot of the day was like, I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit around. And that's something that, I mean, I think back to like my 10-year ago self, never, ever, ever would I let myself do.
Mm.
And so it's such a luxury just to be able to like, oh, I'm going to watch Netflix for a little while. Now I'm going to get up and do this. Now I'm going to do that. Nope. Now I'm going to sit back down. Like it was so great. So yeah.
I love that. I had a day 2 days ago. I guess was that Tuesday, where I just wanted to be outside all day. And so I did. I spent all day in my garden planting things. I made a reel for our new Instagram. Go follow us on Instagram, multidimensional_alignment. We had a lot of new things happen over there. Very excited. So I made this reel, and it bringing us a lot of new followers and new engagement, and like I was just having the time of my life. I was just like getting dirty and planting seedlings and expanding my garden and weeding and just the best day, the best day. And I remember being when I lived in Phoenix, like hiking during the day and then working in the evening and thinking, this is what I want to do. Yes. And so I love that I can do that. I can spend the day doing what I want, being outside. And then what I did have to work a little bit that day. I had some things I needed to do. And so I just did them later in the evening. I did the same thing yesterday. I did work a lot more during the day, but then took a whole bunch of hours off, and I wanted to get this email for the live stream ready. So I did it last night at like midnight, and it felt great because that's what I like to do. So Again, luxury is about freedom. It's about getting to choose what you want, when you want, regardless of any outside circumstances. And all we need to do to get there is align to it, right? To not judge ourselves. Like Carrie, like she would have judged herself out of that luxurious day a few years ago, but she didn't. She let herself have it. And good things are going to come from that. And I guess maybe we'll leave you with this idea that how you feel is what you are creating more of. If you feel stressed, if you feel like you got to hustle, if you feel lack, if you feel like you're guilting yourself into doing actions because you think that's what's going to bring you more freedom, abundance, joy, ease, you got it all wrong, right? Spend most of your time feeling good, feeling inspired, feeling relaxed. That is what is going to bring you what you actually want more of, including the things you think the action's going to get you, like clients and money and all that stuff, right? So align to luxury and let it show up for you and lovingly receive it, and you got a great thing going.
Yeah. I have nothing left to say, but I'm excited to continue to do it.
Yeah, well, try some intuitive art drawings on this if you have any kinks to work out. Like Dale, you could do a drawing about releasing guilt. Any of you do a drawing about how can I allow more luxury into my life? How can I show me how to align to luxury? And then go into our Facebook group or go on Instagram and tag us. We can help you decode if you need it. So we're here for you. We love interacting with you in between these live streams. And yeah, we can't wait to see how you align more to luxury.
Yeah. I just thought I was going to put my hair in a ponytail, but no rubber band. So that's all right.
Well,
guys.
it's about to pour here. We're getting a little thunderstorm. So it's a perfect time to go because you'll be able to hear that. Yeah. Luxury, rain in the desert, right? Well, Katerina, we're so glad that you had a great time today, and thanks for participating. Thank you, Dale and Guillaume. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you. Okay.
Now go luxuriate.
Go luxuriate. Bye, everyone. We love you. We'll see you not next week, but the week after.